Hello, everyone. Excellent. Thank you all for your patience. Technology, plus it's Monday, am I right? But I am so glad to be here this afternoon, evening, depending on where you are and what time it may be for you. I am Lauren with Me Too Many Voices, and this is part of the Sexual Assault Awareness, otherwise known as SAAM, Observation and Celebration here at Me Too Many Voices. I am so honored and excited to chat with. I've really been looking forward to this. I just connected with Samantha Joy here recently, and she has already become a dear friend and light in my life. She is going to be talking about healing and safety for the BIPOC community. I don't want to center it around me. I'll go ahead and we'll let Sam have a sip of water first. But I want to pass it over to you. I think that this is such an important conversation, and I certainly do not want to be the one leading it as a white woman. You know, I recognize how as difficult and as challenging that things have been for me, that how much harder they would have been if I was Black or brown, and that I do have a different experience because I am a white woman, and I never want to take that for granted. And yeah, I'm going to stop talking. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much. I usually hate doing these things and being on camera, so bear with me. And I'm also running on little to no sleep, as I'm sure you're familiar with as a survivor. But thank you so much for holding space. As Lauren said, my name is Samantha Joy, and I go by Sam. I really appreciate the safe space to just connect and talk and heal, because for the last month or so, I've been in a huge state of depression and fear. And as an Asian woman, as a survivor, I've been terrified. I've been really terrified, and I'm tired, and I'm tired of being terrified. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, and that breaks my heart. So I appreciate everyone who's coming here to hold space for the AAPI and BIPOC communities, Asian American Pacific Islander, and Black Indigenous people of color. If you've been aware of anything going on in the world, I'm sure that you're aware of the violent attacks on the Asian American Pacific Islander communities rising since the beginning of the pandemic, and since the xenophobic comments by admin, or previous admin, it just really changed the way I saw America. I grew up as a military kid, a Navy brat, and an immigrant of Filipino, sorry, I'm really shaky, and my mind's going a million miles a minute, but as a Navy brat and as a proud child of Filipino immigrants, I struggled a lot with my identity in America and as a person. And in 2021, where everything is available to us on the internet, knowledge is power, and speaking up and connecting with other Black and brown survivors and other Black and brown communities has been so healing and life-changing for me. Just built a new world. So I'm so grateful that you're allowing me here to share my truth and my story, and you're offering this space for our communities to heal together.
Thank you so much. And here in the comments, just know that everyone here is supporting you as well. You got this. You're doing great and are so inspiring. Go Sam. And there's been a lot of those, like when someone presses the heart and all the hearts come up.
Thank you for all of that. Those matter.
It's horrifying to see, obviously, these, I mean, maybe not obviously. I think the fact that it's not obvious is part of the problem, but that now with the advent of social media and everyone having these phones, you know, more things are being able to be caught on camera more. You know, they've always been happening, but they're going more, virtual now. And the press is finally beginning to give a little bit of attention to what's happening. And it's horrifying. And it's horrifying, as you said, past administration, what has been sparked, and the rise of, hate crimes. And it's scary, and I'm sorry, and I'm outraged.
Yeah, and I don't know what to say to that, because I mean, I'm glad that you're outraged, and I hope more people take the time to listen to these horrible and ugly things about ourselves, our country, what's going on, because that outrage is what's going to create awareness in a way that will really, really encourage action. And that's what we need to feel safe. And that's what's helped me find healing and safety as a survivor of child sexual abuse and incest. I've lived with a lot of shame and secrets and pain. And I carried that pain alone for nearly 2 decades. And I reported the abuser from my childhood a little over 550 days ago. And I've found so much power and healing in speaking up. And I've also found a lot of pain and trauma in the experience, because as I saw from the moment I reported, spending 7 hours in the police station, and up until now, where I haven't even made it to my arraignment trial, 550 days later, it's just very clear that this criminal legal system is not built to protect survivors, children, and especially survivors of color and children of color. It's just, that's not what these systems were intended to do. And it's so blatantly and painfully obvious to me as a 28-year-old woman, college educated. I was able to create a career and build a life for myself beyond my trauma. And even with all the resources, support, and experience, and my privilege and proximity to whiteness, with all of that, I still am struggling. And that's not okay. And I can't even imagine how other victims and other survivors and other people who have been harmed by systems like this, how they're fighting this fight. It's freaking exhausting. And through my painful experience of reporting and going through this court process, and now living in a world where I'm afraid that my mom or myself will be the next hashtag or victim of a hate crime. It's just a scary time, and it's time for us to stop looking away, because looking away doesn't make it go away. I mean, as we've seen over the last, 400, 500 years. Silence doesn't protect anybody but the abuser and the oppressor. And I am starting to really learn that and see that. And I'm finding power in speaking my truth, and finding power in getting out of bed even when I don't want to, like today, and connecting with like-minded, beautiful souls like yourself, and connecting with Black and brown communities who have been doing the work. Like America Hates Us has been a huge part of my healing journey. I have their pin right here, Believe Women. Just there's been so many Black and brown people on the ground doing the work, screaming for us to care, screaming for us to do something about it for so long. And I'm ashamed of how long it took me to realize my part in it. And instead of sitting in that shame, instead of continuing to perpetuate the harm, I'm having to realize that I have the choice every moment and every day and in every conversation to speak up and to fight for a world free of violence for myself and for others. And I need to do it because I'm tired of living in fear, and I'm tired of people I love living in fear, and I'm tired of us accepting that this is just how things are, because the way things are not okay, and they're hurting people, and it's harming lives. And in this day and age of technology, where things are being caught on film and we have access to learning and Googling what anti-racism means and what anti-Blackness means and what xenophobia means, we have the power to learn, and we have the power to listen, and we have the choice. And even as a survivor who's been violently harmed, I have the choice to continue to stay silent and suffer in pain, or speak up and fight back and do whatever I can and use whatever resource and whatever privilege and whatever relationship and connection I have to uplift the messages of Black trans femmes and organizers and survivors who have been fighting for us for so long. If I can do anything to uplift their message and their fight, then I'm uplifting my message and my fight. And in turn, I'm doing what I can to protect survivors and protect children. And I just hope that this conversation and more conversations like this will continue to help create that healing and safety that Black and brown communities deserve. And I'm going on a rant, so feel free to stop me. But go ahead.
That was incredible. I'll let you catch your breath, but no, I mean, yes, 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 you know, like fire emoji, heart emoji to every single thing you have just said. And I hear that fight in you, and I'm sorry that it is such a big fight, and I'm sorry that you and your family and your community is living each day in fear. And I'm sorry that you are braver than you should have to be. And I see it right now, even in this conversation. You're inspiring so many people. People are, thank you for your voice. Thank you for sharing. I'm really bad at math, but I think this is like 1,000,000% agree. And we need to be that change in the world. And you are being that change. And I am here beside you to fight and take action, because it should not have to be, it's not your fight, it's all of our fight.
Yes, 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 a million times yes. And even hearing you as a white woman say that is something that I'm not used to. And I've been around a lot of white people in my life, and to be able to have this conversation and for you to hold this space and for me to vulnerably share my painful experience safely is so healing, so healing. And we need more of it. I need more of it. And I appreciate you seeing my pain and acknowledging my pain and hearing my pain. And it makes my heart beat out of my chest, because the fear that I feel recently and the attacks on Asian communities, stirring up this additional trauma of not knowing if I'm going to be safe when I walk out the door, is the fear and trauma that Black people live with on a regular basis and have been living with. And they don't have the privilege of they don't have the privilege of what a lot of us do. I can't even sum it up into words. And so I am committed to using whatever energy and whatever voice and whatever space I have to fight for whoever can't, and to speak up for those who haven't touched their voice or been able to use their voice yet. And I hate doing this. I wish I wasn't talking about my deepest, darkest pain in front of a bunch of people. This isn't what I wanted to be doing with my life. And I never imagined that anything like this could ever happen to me until it did. And even while I was living through the pain, I denied it. And I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to face my own realities because it was so ugly. And as an 8-year-old little girl, again, living in a home raised by immigrant parents, in a culture, a Filipino culture, and a religious environment where it's expected of us to be silent and expected of us to mind our own business, not get involved, keep our head down, be the model minority, stay out of trouble, and make the most out of our parents' sacrifice to be here. I internalized that, and I suffered in silence as a little girl and adult and teenager for a long time because of those societal expectations and cultural norms. And what I hope the Black and Brown community who's listening and watching, who sees this, what I hope to express to my people is that our silence doesn't protect us. And I understand that it may seem easier to look away and pretend it's not happening. And that may be how you have to deal with it to survive for a while. I understand that. And I also see the healing that can come out of speaking up. And I see the power that can come from speaking up together. And in order for us to do that, I understand that we as a society and as a community also need to come together to create safer ways for us to speak up and safer ways for survivors and children to report. And we just need to rebuild and reimagine what public safety and what justice for all really looks like, because right now Black and brown people are not part of that. And I'm tired of losing another life to violence and hatred.
Yeah. Wow. That was really, really powerful. I know that you said that you're nervous about this, but you're on pure fire here, and I see so many people resonating. Your voice is needed and powerful. We're here with you. Your strength is powerful. People agreeing, they need to always save face. We needed a complete cultural and societal shift, action oriented, as you said before. How many more countless lives do we need to lose before things really change?
Yeah, it's absurd, and if you're not outraged, you're not listening. Like, that saying rings so true in 2021. Like, if you are not outraged by the fact that Breonna Taylor was murdered in her own home by the people who are supposed to protect and serve us, then you're not listening. And if you're not outraged, knowing and seeing and hearing about George Floyd laying there on camera for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, like, that's not okay. That's not okay. And that can happen, and that is happening still. And for someone who lives with complex PTSD because of my abuse, because of the abuse, and someone who lives with severe anxiety, with severe panic attacks that are really scary and ugly for myself sometimes, and that come up when I don't even expect it, it's terrifying. So terrifying to know that Marco Vasquez Jr. could be having a mental health crisis in his own driveway in LA, in my own city. His family called for help, and he was murdered. And how are we supposed to feel safe in this world when the people who are supposed to protect and serve us aren't, and they're actually the ones harming us? And how am I supposed to feel safe and comfortable as a survivor of gender-based violence and sexual abuse reporting to these people after I just watched them kill someone? Things need to change, and things need to change now. And I'm tired of I'm tired of lives being lost. And I'm tired of the perpetrator being centered and oppressors being centered and white supremacy being centered. abusers and oppressors do not need to be the center of any conversation when it comes to healing and safety, ever. And I hope that by continuing honest conversations like this, by connecting in community, by breaking our silence, we can really demand healing and safety and demand accountability and action from all of us, especially from the systems. So thank you for letting me go on this rant, and thank you for just hearing me and allowing me to get this anger and pain out, because I've been quiet for too long, as many of us have.
It was not, you were not rambling, and I appreciate the kind words, but truly you do not need to thank me. This is the bare minimum, of what people should be offering and can be doing. Holding space for grief and pain and the desire for accountability and action, and stand and demand for that. That's the bare minimum of what everyone deserves.
Right.
So it's, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, like how we are just so, desperate and, thankful for the crumbs that people, give us, because that has become the bare, because it is so unfrequent that that support or those resources or those spaces are there. But that should be the norm. Mm-hmm. That should be the norm. And was originally, we had talked about having a, moment of silence for all of those killed and have been harmed. But I know I keep hearing we won't be silent anymore. So I don't know. I know that it obviously has two different meanings, and the moment of silence is to honor. But maybe is there a chant you want to lead us on? Maybe it's a moment of, action and power rather than silence. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot there, so apologies. We can still do the moment of silence, but what are you feeling and thinking that we need right now?
I have the chills because I didn't even think about that. Moment of silence is such a normal thing that we do as a society and community to honor lives that have been lost. And you're right. We have been silent for too long. And hell yeah, let's... I'm committed to no longer staying silent, and I'm committed to doing what I can to protect Asian American Pacific Islander lives. I can't even believe that I have the space to do this, and it's really surreal. So thank you again. And I think instead of a moment of silence, I'd love for all of us, if we could, and if we feel comfortable, and if we feel truly aligned with the words, not only aligned with the words, but aligned with the action that comes with the words. But I'd love for us to all say that I can and I will protect Black lives, and I can and I will protect brown lives, and I can and I will protect survivors, because we all can and we need to now.
I love it. Will you lead us in that?
Yeah. I'd love to just have everyone take a deep inhale and exhale first, because everything we talked about is like running through my body so vividly.
Yeah. Shake it out.
Yeah, shake it out. And if you want, stand up, feel your feet on the ground, because this is our ground. This is our land that was stolen. Actually, it's indigenous land that was stolen, let me clarify. But feel the ground on your feet and know that here and now we are safe. And here and now we are worthy of healing and safety and love and support and protection. So with all of that being said, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. If not, pick a spot to gaze into as you take a deep inhale and release everything that no longer serves you once you exhale. And as you blink your eyes open, take another cleansing breath before you commit to demanding action, accountability, and change. So go ahead and take that cleansing breath full of hope, change, and healing. And exhale, repeating, I can and I will.
I can and I will.
Protect Black and brown lives.
Protect Black and brown lives.
And I can and I will protect survivors and children.
And I can and I will protect survivors and children. Hope you all are saying this at home if it feels safe.
Yes. Oh, it's so real.
Yes, and I see someone wrote in, I can and I will protect trans lives too.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Wow, I have chills. How are you doing over there?
I'm full of joy and healing, and that pain and that anger and that fear, those are all still very much so there. But with the support and love and connection with community like this, it really does feel like I'm not alone in this fight. And this is the first time that I've felt genuinely hopeful and excited to be in this fight. In the last month, I just have been done. So thank you for reigniting my fire to fight this fight for all Black lives and all AAPI, all BIPOC lives, all survivors, and all children, regardless of your race, socioeconomic status, your gender, your physical, mental, whatever abilities, regardless of any of that. You matter. We matter. And we deserve more. So I can and I will do what I can to do something about it.
Thank you. Thank you. I can and I will too. Thank you everyone for being here. We are getting towards the end. So if you do have any questions, thoughts, anything you want to share, feel free to put them in the chat. In the meantime, Sam, I'm wondering, I know that you have been working on some exciting things. Speaking of protecting survivors, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you so much. This is the first time that I'm sharing this passion project that is really close to my heart, and that actually derived in the last few weeks from having to report more harassment and more abuse and harm to law enforcement that additional trauma just spurred my desire to really do something differently. And my partner is a wonderful and loving human being and has been by my side, unconditionally supporting, loving, protecting me for over the last, or about 5 years now. And I asked him to build this website, build this domain so that we can help other survivors and children and other Black and brown people who are going through what I'm going through and who can't get out of bed like I can't get out of bed. And he did that, and he's amazing, and I love him. I love you if you're watching. And protectsurvivors.com, you'll be able to see more about my story and my wonderful and exciting collaboration with a Black-owned business, Public Statement Apparel, local to LA. You'll see that with our partnership, we collaborated to design these shirts to demand action, to demand accountability by creating conversations wherever we go. And with these messages, I can and I will, with believe, support, love, and protect survivors and children. And again, I can and I will. We are hoping to do something different. We're hoping to speak up, speak out wherever we go to demand safety for all of us. And the cool thing about our items is this awesome QR code that allows people who's walking by, allows anyone to be able to start somewhere and do something differently, make a change. On protectsurvivors.com, you could purchase these shirts, and part of the proceeds will go towards an event that we're hosting for the AAPI and BIPOC survivor community on April 23rd, Friday at 6:30 p.m. Beautiful soul and healer who's also Asian American and has been a part of my personal healing journey will be leading this event. And it will just be a space for us to heal and connect and just be together in our pain and our power. And if you visit protectsurvivors.com, you can learn more all about the events, the shirts, how these shirts and how these specifically intentional items are going to help make a difference for Black-owned businesses, Black survivors, BIPOC survivors, and just thank you. Thank you for listening to me ramble on, and thank you for holding space, and thank you to everyone who feels moved to go to protectsurvivors.com to protect us now. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your powerful words and for your voice and for being vulnerable and real. I know that many resonated, and I feel certain that you have inspired many for action, and I can and I will. Oh, thank you so much for spending part of your Monday here. Again, I am Lauren with Me Too Many Voices. We have been joined today by Samantha Joy and Travis, who has been doing the ASL access. I understand that these things can stir some things up. Please know that you are not alone. Reach out to me anytime. There are people who care. There are people who, who want to listen. I will let Samantha, Sam say a goodbye, and then I have some resources, excuse me, that I will share on the screen. Let Samantha say goodbye, and then I will also say goodbye to Travis because they're formatted for the full screen, but I promise I won't keep talking after after it's just me. Thank you again, Sam.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Travis, for being here and interpreting and for allowing access for more people to have this healing in space as well. And there are resources on protectsurvivors.com if you are struggling with thoughts of suicide, depression, or if you are also struggling with sexual abuse. And there are also resources if you are truly committed to taking action to protecting Black lives and Asian lives. There's a little Black Lives card and AAPI resource card as well on protectsurvivors.com. So thank you. Please feel free to connect with me. I look forward to more of this. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all so much for being here, and look out for other MTMV, SAM, easy for me to say, MTMV, SAM events throughout the month. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Travis. I am going to say goodbye to you both. Have a great night. Thank you all, and I will share the resources on the screen.